योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोतं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम्।
Good to see you again. In today's episode, we will be talking about two supine poses, Suptha Virasana and Suptha Baddhakonasana. There are many more supine poses in yoga. For example, Suptha Padangushtasana, Suptha Swastikasana, etc. But these are beyond the scope of these episodes. We'd be limiting ourselves to these two asanas, Suptha Virasana and Suptha Baddhakonasana. We will now see how to do Suptha Virasana. For this, we start with Virasana. Virasana was discussed in the segment on sitting poses. Starting from Virasana, the practitioner sits in Virasana in such a way that the heels are wide and the buttocks are seated in between the two heels. The heels itself must be rolled out, the toes pointing backwards. The thighs in this Virasana are rolled inwards and the entire length of the shin is pressed down. Ideally, all parts of the shin, including the portion consisting of the metatarsal, must be touched down. Here it is not, but we will address that in the upcoming section. So pressing the entire shin, then I would like the practitioner to put the hand on top of the front knee. Release the knee upward so that what is one after the other, release the knee upward. So what is then being placed on the ground is undifferentiatedly the shin alone. So pressing the shin, the practitioner then takes the hand back once again, rolling the shoulder sharply back, raising the chest up. This arrangement of pointing the shoulder backward and keeping the chest active is particularly essential in Suptha Virasana because there is a tendency to sink the chest and go back. We, from the beginning, want to avoid that. So we are pointing the shoulders deeply back and activating the chest. From there, the practitioner goes into a recline where he then rests one elbow after the other and once again aims at raising the chest up. Then, drawing the elbows down towards the direction of the knee, he then rests the shoulders down and then goes into the full position where the body is completely reclined. Here the tips of the shoulder must touch the floor. The chest, as you can see, is active. The abdomen should not pop up. The abdomen must be layered on the spine. Here again, it's not a compressive action where the abdomen is hammered onto the spine. That doesn't happen. By drawing the waistline down, the abdomen is taken downward towards the spine. The gap between the lumbar and the floor itself is aiming to be minimal. Here, the buttock usually has a tendency to pile in the direction of the lumbar. You must manipulate with your hands in such a way that the buttock is lengthened down towards the back of the knee, as if it goes down away from the lumbar, away from the lower back, down towards the back thigh. After doing this, the classical pose is where both the knees are joined together. However, this is difficult and advanced. In order to make it easy on the abdomen and the spinal muscles as well as the knee and the joints of the leg, it's okay to release the knees a little apart such that the knees are apart but not too apart. Here it is hip width apart. So with this casual distance, the abdomen has the ability to ease itself and lower further towards the ground, as you can clearly see. This is the first arm position in Suptha Virasana, where the arm is at a 60-degree position. Keeping the arms and palms there, you have to stretch the arms away, roll the shoulders back, give a rounded opening to the chest. Keeping the shoulder touching, extend the arm and palms away so that the arm is a lengthened arm. It's not short, it's a lengthened arm. Usually, the tendency is for the little finger side of the wrist to touch. This is a drop. You have to nicely roll the bicep outside and make the thumb side of the wrist touch. Now, pressing the arm, you can raise the chest. And then, when you're doing it restoratively, you can allow the arms to first lengthen this way, but then relax. As you relax, as you see, there's a casual turning, curling to the palms. You allow that to happen. This is the first arm position. In the second position, you take the arm directly over the head in Urdhva Hastasana, where the palm faces the ceiling. Here, the aim is to lengthen the entire surface of the spine to give the spine a tall extension. As you can see, as the t-shirt fibers show, every single fiber of the t-shirt is pointing upwards, which means right from the base of the spine all the way to the top, the entire frontal surface of the spine is long and elongating. It's a pose where the anterior surface of the spine gets complete extension. Here, placing the nail end of every finger on the ground, including the thumb, the practitioner will then scrape the nails away, extending the arms away, lengthening the arms. Using the every single finger, you will have to place the nail, scraping the nail, you have to lengthen. As you can see, that gives a further extension to the entire length of the body. This is the second position. In the third position, which is called Baddhahasta, the right hand will hold the left elbow and then the left hand will hold the right elbow. This is the third position where, sharpening the armpits, you will have to lengthen the elbows taller. This gives the side body a good amount of length. These are the three positions. After you go to Baddhahasta, where we first made the right hand hold the left elbow, it is then switched. The left hand then holds the right elbow, which we are not showing for now, but this you will have to alternate, first this hand and then that hand and then this. So this position you will do twice. Using these three positions for Suptha Virasana, we then complete the pose, and now we will show you how to come out of the pose, which is very important because it may not be easy for everybody to do. So we would like to run you through that. Undoing the hands, you take the hands around the heels such that the palms hook the heels. Hooking the heels, you then draw the elbow slightly up to firmly place the elbow on the ground. Here it's important that the elbow gets a solid and firm fixation on the ground. Fixing the elbow, you draw the body up. Then, after it's come up, you release, place the palms up, and then pull yourself completely up. After coming up to Virasana, it is then important to come up and release the legs in Dandasana. The legs were completely folded, giving it a full range of motion in Virasana. When you go to Dandasana, you have to lengthen the heel away, press the thigh down, engage the knee completely so that the reverse action of complete extension happens. We will now see some prop assisted variations for Suptha Virasana. Now, as you can see, in Suptha Virasana, it may not be possible for everybody to recline completely. It is a difficult action and in fact an advanced action where the knee stays together while at the same time a practitioner is able to completely recline. For those who are unable to completely recline, we then use a bolster's support as shown. As you can see, the bolster is placed right at the back, where a practitioner's buttock is placed against the frontal end of the bolster. The far we will call the back end, the one that is close we will call the frontal end. The practitioner's base, that is sacrum area, is right against the bolster. So placing that, the practitioner will then recline in Suptha Virasana on the bolster. In such a way that the entire trunk gets the support of the bolster. If I recollect the action in the unsupported classical version of Suptha Virasana, we would have seen a gap between the base spine, that is the lumbar spine, as well as the floor. Here, in this arrangement, not only is the entire trunk supported by the bolster, but also that the base spine is not left hanging, it is supported by the bolster as well, and hence addresses back pain, if any. Now, lying down on the bolster, because the bolster gives a slight boost in elevation in height, the spine comes as a raised surface, and because the shoulders envelope go over the sides of the bolster, it gives a rounded opening to the entire layer of the chest. By lying on the bolster, you immediately go into a restorative version of Suptha Virasana. Nevertheless, there are some things that you can do to enhance the efficacy of the pose. That is, while lying back, you have to make sure that from the center collarbone to the sides of the shoulder, it is wide. You have to trace the length of the collarbone. The chest has a tendency to congregate towards the center spine, which the bolster naturally addresses, but still, from the center of the sternum, it's good to widen the chest. As you can see, the surface of the diaphragm is well spread and widened. What a practitioner can then do is the side latissimus muscles, instead of having it up, you have to take it as if it hugs the surface of the bolster. So if I were to spread the t-shirt and draw it to the side, just like it opens the frontal face, as far as the body is concerned, if the latissimus tucks itself in towards the bolster, there is a greater opening of the chest as well as the diaphragm. This is Suptha Virasana that is supported with a bolster. A blanket is given for both the head and the neck to further make it a restive state for the cervical neck as well. This is the first variation. Coming out of this, the practitioner then folds his arms and then comes up in Virasana. In the next variation that we are doing, we are addressing knee pain. Usually, when a person sits with the buttock all the way towards the floor, it is possible that they may have knee pain, especially when it's not a healthy knee. Therapeutically, there are very many ways by which knee pain is addressed in Virasana, Suptha Virasana. On camera, we are showing the simplest, most easily observable variation where we are using a block to place the buttocks to be seated on. So, the practitioner then descends to place the buttock on top of a brick. Why are we using a brick? We are using a brick because it offers an elevation, because of which the knee doesn't have to go through a complete flexion to place the buttock down on the floor. That elevation relaxes the knee a little bit. With this, you then proceed to recline on two bolsters for Suptha Virasana. Here once again, we are using the double bolster arrangement where the hip or the buttock is placed on a height, the blanket is drawn to support the head and neck, and then the second bolster is placed at that level which aligns with the level of the floating rib. Therefore, the area of the diaphragm is completely expanded. Therefore, this variation gives an advantage for those with knee problems to practice, and also those who need a double bolster arrangement either for height or elevation reason or for respiratory reasons. They could use this arrangement. Again, therapeutic practices are very specific. We are just showing you some simple variations that can be caught and understood on camera. From here, the practitioner then comes up, and we will now show you the next method by which this metatarsals not touching, metatarsals lack of contact with the ground can be addressed. We mentioned this at the start, we will cover that now. As you can see, now here the metatarsals are off the floor. You can see when the person sits in Virasana itself that there is a gap between the metatarsal and the floor. Usually that is a stiffness which when you recline in Suptha Virasana may cause some pain. And now we will show you how to support or deal with that problem. Now, we take a rolled blanket. As you can see, this is one of these blankets that are rolled. And then we place it in such a way that this rolled blanket pads the metatarsal on both sides. The frontal ankle as well as the metatarsal. It pads both sides. Now, having that, this curve or this where the metatarsal is left hanging, this is now properly supported by a rolled blanket on both sides. Here, when the practitioner sits back and then reclines in Suptha Virasana, you will see that because of this support that this offers, that strain or pain that one may feel at the frontal ankle gets mitigated. So this is another variation that may be practiced. We will now see how to do Suptha Baddhakonasana. For Suptha Baddhakonasana, we start with Baddhakonasana, where the legs initially were in Dandasana and then the heels were drawn closer to the perineum, one leg after the other. Pressing the palms, raising the chest up, rolling the shoulders back, you will have to give the chest a good expansion with the dorsal spine in and the back ribs in. Pressing the palms down, widening the collarbones, raising the chest up, keeping that open expression of the chest as much as possible, the practitioner then reclines backward to place the trunk on the ground. In this position, as you can see, initially the distance between the perineum and the heel was much less. But when the person lies down, suddenly this distance has become increased. You will have to keep the heel close to the perineum, for which you take the hand underneath the thigh and wrap the hands around the shin of one leg, pull the heel closer, shin of the other leg, pull the heel closer. This way the hand goes underneath the thigh and draws the shin closer. Here the practitioner waits for a few minutes. This arrangement has several advantages. One is as you draw the hands down to pull the heel closer, the shoulder moves away from the neck and gets a good touch towards the floor. This opens the entire face of the chest, as you can see. So firstly, as you move the hand down, the shoulder is tractioned away from the neck and therefore the cervical length gets a good extension. The shoulder itself is placed on the ground, due to which the chest gets a good open expression. Lastly, the hand also supports the thigh, due to which the knee is not left hanging on the ground. These are the various advantages by doing this to draw the heel closer to the perineum. After holding this for some time, you will have to make sure that upon the press of the upper arm and shoulder, you will have to move the dorsal spine in and raise the sternum up. That activity, openness of the chest is important. From there, the practitioner may release the hands to the side, and then this is the first position of the arms that we also saw in Suptha Virasana. Similarly, the arms can be taken over the head and in Baddhahasta as already shown in Suptha Virasana. From this, the practitioner then joins the knees, rolls to the right side, keeping the upper arm under the head like a pillow, pressing the palm down on the ground, you come up. This is Suptha Baddhakonasana. Similar to Suptha Virasana, Suptha Baddhakonasana can also be done using single and double bolster arrangements. So, we keep a bolster lengthwise for the spine with the base of the bolster against the sacrum. Here, the practitioner then lies back supporting the head and neck with a blanket. As you can see in this arrangement, for those who are not able to go down completely, you go down using a bolster so that that slight elevation gives the spine support. This way, a single bolster can be used. A double bolster can also be used for expanding the diaphragm and chest as shown in Suptha Virasana. Here, the practitioner then comes up, pressing the palm and raising the chest up to Baddhakonasana. Now, as you can see, as you lie backward, the distance between the heel and the perineum increases. In the classical pose, we use the hand to pull the heel towards the perineum. We will see how a belt can now be used. You place the belt such that the band of the belt at the back goes across the sacrum and the frontal end of the belt goes in such a way that it comes underneath the feet. It is important to have the buckle here such that the strand of the buckle faces you to pull and adjust. Again repeating, one end goes across the sacrum, the other end goes over the foot underneath, that is on the little toe side of the foot, and then you are having the belt such that the frontal end, that is the remaining end of the belt, is there in your control. Here you have to adjust the belt such that you are able to get the heel and the perineum close. A word of caution, do not tighten the belt too much. If you tighten the belt too much, your foot will lift as you go down, so you will have to keep the belt firm but not tight. So the belt has to be firm but not tight. Keeping it at this, you then recline back. And as you recline back, you see that the distance between the heel and the perineum remains the same, as in the foot hasn't slipped away. This has other benefits as well. Because the belt holds you at the sacrum, it doesn't allow the buttock to congregate or congest at the area of the lower back. It tractions the buttock away from the lower back, giving the lumbar the necessary length and freedom. This is the second variation. In Suptha Baddhakonasana, it's possible that for everybody, the knee doesn't completely rest on the ground. The knee is kind of hanging in the air. Sometimes this tenses the lower abdomen as well as causes discomfort in the knee. It is possible that that may happen. To make the pose completely restive both on the abdomen, spine, on the complete organic body as well as knee, you can offer rolled blanket support on the ends of the knee on both sides. This way, the knee then completely rests, much like we rest on a bed. The knee completely rests on the support, and this gives passive restoration to the entire body. Because the knees are supported, the abdomen becomes soft, the area of the chest is open, and yet the entire body goes through a softness. It is truly restorative to use supports for the knee. The asanas that we have now seen, Setubandha Sarvangasana, Suptha Virasana and Suptha Baddhakonasana, are all restorative asanas or asanas in the Vishranti Karaka. Vishranti refers to relaxation. All these poses are highly rejuvenating and must be practiced for a longer duration of time. Usually, let's say for example, we put a drop of water on the ground. Initially, that water droplet remains tight, and over time it circumferentially gradually increases. Just like that, when you go into any one of these restorative poses, initially the body remains tight, but as you spend time staying in it, the body gradually expands and releases. With this release, the breath travels much more easily, and hence all of these are important practices for pranayama. Also, because this position, all these positions have a wide, a long spine as well as an open chest position, they help with the entire length of the spine, all the organs placed in it, as well as increased oxygenation. With this, we finish our segment on restorative poses.